the American dream, there's two sides to it. There is all the opportunity. There is, you know, you can be fruitful, you can be successful, but then you also have to be contained in the system, though. You know, and so it's like if you venture out of the system, to me, that's really the American dream. That's really the dream.
Not so much
of thought. The freedom of thought, because only then can I go create and start my own business to really be successful.
I mean, you know, we grew up in, I didn't grow up in the U.S. I grew up in Dubai till I was 10. But I mean, you know, my parents, I mean, you could say they did sort of live that life, you know, but it wasn't, you know, wasn't like, let's live the American dream. I think that they just wanted to have a good life, you know. I think that's what everybody wants. Now, I think if you start putting in the perspective of the American dream, you know, that's kind of, I kind of feel like that's a, it's just I think it's kind of a fantasy. It's kind of an unattainable goal. I don't think it's realistic, you know, to say, oh, you know, here's time and space, and here's the way it should be for me for the rest of my existence here on the planet. It just doesn't make sense because there's too many factors involved.
Because, you know, the America is 60% Caucasian, so that's going to be the basis. The majority makes the basis of your particular dream. So a lot of blacks don't have a so-called American dream because we're not a majority. So our dream is filtered, or our dream is a facade in a sense, and that's why, you know, jails are 80% black.
Well, my early recollections, I can remember, you know, mostly as a kid you have this feeling of security, because you feel like your parents are always going to take care of you, you're always going to have a house to live in, you're always going to have somewhere to go and something to eat and something to watch on TV. And for an American kid, TV is as important as anything else. But I can remember my dad, you know, who was something pretty rare nowadays, was a guy that worked at the same company from when he was 16 years old until when he retired. And I just always assumed everything was like that. You just got up, you went to work, you came home, you did what you like, and then you went to bed. And you did that forever until you didn't have to work anymore. And I remember talking to my dad about what it was like to work at the company, and he said that he owned stock in the company, and I said, what's that? And he said, well, I own a small part of the company. And I was confused, and he was trying to explain to me that he didn't own the bricks and the mortar, but he felt like if the company did well, he would always do well because he would share in what the company did. And as a funny aside, I asked him like how much of the company he owned, and he pointed at the door and said, probably about as much as that door, which is really probably true. But since then, that company has been purchased and moved offshore, and it's not the same thing anymore. Luckily, he's retired.
There's so many jobs that like baby boomers and all that, they're starting to retire, and then like who's going to want to do those jobs? Because I feel like with my generation, everybody, and myself included, everybody just wants to get to that point where working like 50, 60-hour weeks are like long. I don't feel like people are going to put up with that because we're so used to being like in that article, you know, that you had on Facebook about the technology and how everybody's just so massively consumed in it that they're just used to everything being kind of like here and now.
Technology is changing so fast, and the needs of people are changing so fast that you need to be constantly adapting and reinventing your skill set. And since the early 2000s, it's become apparent to me that you need to be able to do more than one specific job. You need to be a multitasker.
I think a lot of the stuff coming out now in present day isn't really set to help us. I think it's set for us to spend money on it just because it's there. Because, I mean, there's so much stuff coming out and everybody's like, oh, that's so awesome, I gotta have it. Oh, that's the newest, you know, iPad or iPhone, stuff like that. But you don't need it. I mean, granted, now your social networking is super because you need Facebook and Twitter and, you know, video chat all in one, you know. But why not go actually meet that person and have an actual conversation? You know, that's the actual camaraderie, the getting the physical touch with the person is a lot better than a device.
I think people get so used to
they just eat and eat things with no substance, that when you give them something that they have to chew on, it's just too much work. And we've become mentally a lazy society.
We're the first generation that's gonna actually not like do well off better than our parents, and that's always, I guess, and that ties into the American dream as well. Is that's what it was supposed to be. Is you do better. You always want your kids to do better than you or have more than you had. That's the goal.
Even my parents still, they still are just working to get by, you know? And I'm taking a different approach. I'm taking a very different approach because I'm not taking what's just given to me. I'm going and finding my own.
Sometimes when a person falls and become homeless, it's hard for them to get clothing to go look for a job. It takes money to make money. You gotta work 2 weeks before you get paid.
There you go.
It gets real difficult when you done fail homeless, you know, to come back up, because
to try to like put the building blocks back
put
together,
them back together,
step up onto that stage.
Have a place to take a bath and you're homeless, you know. And then if you're gonna come to work for, you know, it's gonna take you more than 2 weeks to get a place to stay, so it gets very difficult.